Hey, we're back for another exciting episode of Chasing Tone with Dave.
And Rob.
Also known as Rupert Holmes, because he likes drinking pina coladas and staying out in the rain. Alright, and before we start anything, we like to do our plug for the station. There we go. In two convenient locations, one in Paducah and one in Murray. So if you guys are ready to give us some free burgers, we're ready to take them. Alright, got that out of the way.
I'm thinking burger challenge. I could be up for that.
You know something? You know how they've got heroes all along the wall, police, fire, and all that? Why not guitar heroes?
Exactly.
I mean, I think that'd be awesome. I mean, everybody but Jeff Beck. I mean, come on, really.
Yeah,
He played for Rod Stewart. Really, what did he do? Okay, okay. We got that out of the way. I'm going to talk about something that has just plagued the music world for about the last 2-3 months now. Has been the Justin Bieber saga.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about that? Do you think it's all talent or it's image now with him? Him getting into all this trouble?
It's definitely it's morphed its way to image, I think.
I mean, do you think he's kind of taken the Miley Cyrus syndrome thing?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, he's trying to break out of the teen pop world and all that. I mean, he can't do it on talent, obviously.
It's never been my bag, anything he's ever done, but...
No. It's just... I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that, you know... I mean... No, and you got to look at it this way. I guess, you know, back in our day, whenever our rock stars, you know, Poison and Van Halen, all of them, they tended to get in a lot of trouble, but you didn't hear about it all the time. They didn't want to be put out in the news about getting into trouble.
Yeah.
It's kind of like these guys. It's like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm in trouble. Woohoo! You know, I got caught for doing something. So.
And the sad reality is, the more trouble they get in, the more money they get.
Yeah, and
more
so
publicity.
it's, you know, it's I guess that's just a sign of age for us.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you know, as musicians goes, you know, really, we don't have to put too much stock in those guys. And I don't even know whose guitarist is he.
I don't think he has a guitar.
Does he have a guitarist? He probably doesn't even have one. Or he probably has some guy standing up there, you know, and just strumming it. And by the way, did you notice that in the halftime show, Flea was not plugged in?
No.
He was not plugged in. So, of course, he came back later to say that they recorded the song earlier because he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to jump around and play at the same time, which I always thought he could jump around and play, but obviously he wasn't plugged in at the Super Bowl halftime show. A little disappointing there. So,
yeah.
Anyways. Okay, the $200 challenge is progressing. In case you guys have been wanting to follow that, the one thing that I'm waiting on is kind of the weather to break. I like to get outside and build whenever I build my cabinets and such, and I'm waiting for him to be able to get down here so he can participate in it and help me build the cabinet and the head for the chassis, the electronic chassis that we have for the $200 challenge. So until that kind of happens, we're kind of got a little bit of a standstill. I'm still working on several of my own guitars that I'm just trying to get tuned up and trying to get get them set up right. So that's kind of a challenge within itself. So that's kind of where we're at on that. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I've been wanting him to do for a while, is bring his Stevie Ray Vaughan guitar. And this is a really neat project that he started. I want to have you just go ahead and bring this guitar up. And just tell us a little bit about it. What kind of guitar was it to start with?
Believe it or not, it was the first act, which is about as cheap as you can get.
So you were trolling the toy store for this one?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's awesome.
No, I actually found on Craigslist, and I think the lady was wanting $45 for it, and you know, I jewed her down to $20.
Hey,
so
yeah.
Anyway, then I went to a place is online called Xtreme Creations. .com, and you can order all the emblems and everything for the Stevie Ray Vaughan. They even got his signature that you can. So what are those water slide decals?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
And then it had a white pick guard on it. I took that off, ordered a black one, put on there. That was pretty easy because his has the black and then the white pickups. And then I just started taking relicing it with a file and sandpaper and whatnot. And they even took this his old SRV logo that was on there before this one, and put it on there, and then sanded it to make it look worn, you know. And it's by no means is it an exact replica of his guitar. It's just my way of a little tribute to him. So anyway, it's pretty cool.
The nice, well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the nice thing about these guitars, I believe, if I'm not, and you may have to correct me on this, does Samick make these guitars? Does Samick make First Act?
That I don't know 100% sure. I know Samick makes the majority of guitars in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, for, First Act, I mean, they don't sound too bad. I mean...
Well, and there's good and bad in all of them. People say, well, so, everything lined up that day or whatever. Maybe it was made on a Friday or on a Monday or whatever in the factory. Whatever it was. I've had 2 or 3 other First Act ones from my son and whatnot, and they didn't stay in tune real well.
That's true.
They jump out of tune real bad and stuff. For some reason, I don't know why, but this one stays in tune perfect. The pickups are good and hot pickups. I don't know what the deal was, but whatever they did that day in the factory, it worked on this particular one. And really, I haven't seen that many First Act Strat copies.
No.
So, maybe if you could find a First Act Strat copy, maybe that's just what works, that style. But anyway.
Usually they're like a Les Paul knockoff or something like that. I mean, the headstock's not quite the same on a lot of the First
that's
Acts.
something else I did on this one. And it's not perfect, but it was shaped completely different, the headstock. I actually cut it to make it sort of, have that Stratocaster look to it, kind of. It's not perfect, but anyway.
But it didn't have 13s on it, right?
No.
You still have a little skin on your fingers, so I'm going to assume it didn't have 13s.
Yeah, I think it actually has 10s.
So yeah, that's something Stevie Ray done. Of course, he tinned all of his strings, which that was something his guitar tech did. But 13s, if you ever tried to play with it, even a set of 11s is the most I've ever played. And it's just like, oh my gosh! Yeah. I mean, that truly gives you an appreciation for the type of guitar Stevie Ray was. I mean, then the sound that he created. I mean, he had a bass, a really bassy sound. It was just so full. I mean, you can't get that with a thin string. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I've heard. I think I read somewhere one time where he had calluses so thick on his fingertips that he was at a show and I guess one of the calluses popped off his finger, the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole end of his finger popped off, and he. The tale is, they say anyway, is he super glued it back on and then finished the show with it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
Speaking of super glue. We ran into a little bit of problem with this earlier. The strap holder on here it wasn't working, or it actually had it was all. And this is something, just a little tip for you guitar guys. You have 1 or 2 options. You can either get a longer screw to go up into the body of the guitar, or do what we did is just take some super glue, put it down into the hole, and then take about 3 toothpicks, stick them down in there. And then just let it dry, break them off, just take a pair of side cutting dikes, clip it off and file it down, and you've got real wood to actually screw back into. So that gives you a nice sturdy repair. I mean, you don't want to be slinging it around like Steve Vai on a David Lee Roth tour, but you can obviously, it's going to support holding the guitar, so you're not going to have to be worried about it dropping off. The last thing is we're going to plug a book that I just received in the mail. It's by Gerald Weber. It's called A Desktop Reference of Hip and Vintage Guitar Amps. This book is really amazing. It just has an incredible number of schematics in it. I mean, and they've done a really nice job of cleaning up the schematics. There's a lot of other things in here that, like, as far as mod amps, how to correct certain problems of vintage amplifiers that that they'd done whenever they first built the amplifiers. Gerald Weber's done a really nice job of doing this book. I don't know if you're familiar with any of his work or not, but he does Kendrick amps, and if you've seen any or heard any on YouTube, you know just how good those things are. So if you're into building tube amps, working on tube amps, this is a definite book you need to buy. I think they're around $30. You can get them on Amazon, but it's definitely worth your time to pick this book up. So if you work on amps, it's a must-have in your collection. And he also does a DVD. So and he'll basically take a Fender, I believe it's a Fender Blackface, and he'll show you how to basically retube it, overhaul it, troubleshoot it, and so that's really good video to watch as well. So that's pretty much it for this episode of Chasing Tone. I know it's kind of a short episode, and we kind of touched on a few subjects. Hopefully, it's giving you a little bit more insight, and hopefully it's helped you a little bit. If you have any questions or concerns, just write in the comments section, and we'll try to get back with you as soon as possible. So for Dave
and Rob,
keep chasing Tone.